there everyone, my name is Kirsten. So for today's video alone, I thought it would be very interesting for me to do a horror movie review, and this has been something I haven't done in a very long time. I believe the last time I did a horror movie review, it must have been around the time I posted either the Rob Zombie and John Carpenter's Halloween comparison, or the Void horror movie review. So for this one, I thought it would be very interesting to review a movie I watched recently, about a couple months ago. I've wanted to do this horror movie review for a very long time, and that movie is known as It 2017 version. Now, I've wanted to watch this movie for a very long time since it came out in theaters, which of course I don't understand why I couldn't be able to go see it in theaters at that time, but it's whatever now, it's fine. At least I had a chance to watch the movie finally. So since I had a chance to watch this movie personally, I thought I would do a whole complete review of this movie based off of how I felt about this movie generally. So before I completely begin with this horror movie review, if you guys are new to this channel and if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to my channel with notifications on. I upload brand new videos every single Friday. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this It horror movie review. I'm just gonna go ahead and begin with some of the directors and some of the actors and actresses that partaked in this film. So the person that decided to direct this movie is known as Andy Muschietti. I believe that sounds about right, correct me if I'm wrong. That last name does sound familiar, in fact. I don't know why. It'll probably come to mind eventually. But that was the person that directed the movie. So now we are moving on to some of the actors and actresses that partaked in this wonderful film. So of course, you got somebody like Bill Skarsgård that played as good old Pennywise, because who would have thought, right? He definitely played a really good Pennywise. You got Jaden Lebanar, played as Bill Denbrough. You got Jackson Robert Scott, that played as Georgie Denbrough. Sophia Lillis, that played as Beverly Marsh. You got Jeremy Ray Taylor, that played as Ben Hanscom. And of course, you cannot forget about this legendary Stranger Things star, Finn Wolfhard, I believe his name is. He plays as Richie Tozar. You got Jack Dylan Grazer, that plays as Eddie Kepspark. You got Wait Olaf, that plays as Stanley Uris. You got Nicholas Hamilton, that plays as Harry Browers. You got Chosen Jacobs, that plays as Mike Hanlon, I think. You got Owen Tagg, that plays as Patrick Hetzer, I think, Hetzer. And of course you got Jack Sim, that plays as Bletch. So now that I cleared up the person that directed this movie, as well as some of the actors and actresses that played in this movie as well, I'm gonna go ahead and dive into some of my opinions and ratings for this whole movie as well. Alright, so for the whole story plot within itself, I'm gonna be giving the story plot a complete full point. And the reason why I'm giving this a full point, to be exact, is because, to be honest with you, I've never read the book, although I would love to one day. I'm sure it's a fantastic horror novel, but basically I heard a lot of rumors from this film generally that it follows by the book completely well compared to the original It movie back in 1990, I believe. Which of course, the 1990s version of that movie isn't really too bad, although it didn't really fit the movie quite as well as the newer one did. I'm not gonna get into details about like the 1990s version of it, although if you guys would really love to see a It 2000 17, and a 1990s comparison to this It movie generally, let me know in the comments down below so I can maybe try to work on that in the future. People genuinely really liked my movie comparison to the remake and the original Halloween movie, so I figured maybe one of these days I'll give that a go. But anyway, with all that rambling being said, the whole plot itself I thought was quite interesting. It really sunk into your deep inner fears in some way, shape, or form. This is a very interesting clown horror movie generally, so I definitely do like this story plot a lot more better than the 1990s version, that's for sure. So for the acting, I am also going to be giving this a complete full point. And the reason why, of course, I'm giving this a complete full point, the actors and actresses did make the movie interesting on a more personal level. You kind of get to know the characters a little bit better, which is exactly what I absolutely meant by on a personal level. You kind of get to know these characters and learn about their backstories, what their deepest ultimate fears are, and just overall their individual personality generally. And of course, I thought Bill Skarsgård did such an amazing job with being a part of his role as Pennywise. I feel like the new Pennywise, at least to me, I feel like he's like another Freddy Krueger. Like, he knows what your deepest inner fears are. He has a way of just clicking with your mind and to play around with your head a little bit before he gives you a really good scare. He's very energized. He knows how to haunt you in your most psychological ways as possible, like everything from being scared of a painting on the wall to bring it back to life, and just creating this massive image from people that kind of scares them in a way. So I feel like that is exactly what I am referring to when I mean that he's more of like a Freddy Krueger character in a way, is because of that reason alone. But of course, instead of having to dream about it, it's more like it's an LSD trip, kind of. Like, you can't even imagine that shit like that is even realistic. You know, I just find that very fascinating about this new Pennywise generally, is to really click with your fears. It's just amazing. So for the editing and the camera work, of course, I'm going to be giving this one a complete full point. Now, from what I know, I think there was a few little bits and bobs of camera errors in a way. Not so much with like the editing course of it, not so much I don't think, but just how the actors or actresses were kind of placed. I felt like one of the scenes in particular really did had a little bit of an error where one kid was just kind of looking away into one direction of that whole screen scene, you know? Basically, I'll go ahead and just play the clip so you guys will pretty much get to see what I mean. So yeah, that's what I actually do mean by that. By the way, I know I made a joke about this on my Instagram account or whatever, but basically that smile right there, I just jokingly said that this is what I look like when I try to smile for Instagram selfies, which is completely true. I can like smile and grin on camera or whatever, but when I'm actually trying to take selfies of like my teeth or whatever, it just looks very awkward for some weird reason. There was like little camera errors in that perspective, but other than that, not so much. And as a matter of fact, I feel like the cinematography kind of made up for the errors into this movie generally. The cinematography itself, I feel like there's very light moments at the most normal, everyday kind of lighting, and obviously expressing dark moments when it is absolutely necessarily possible. Like with fears and discovering different dark locations, little things like that I just find kind of nice in the whole cinematography feel. Like placing in dark moments, but at the same time expressing lighter moments when it is absolutely necessary. So for the effects, I am also going to be giving this a complete full point as well. I feel like there wasn't hardly any cheap props or makeup or anything of that sort. I just thought everything in the effects of the movie was completely normal and just very interesting overall. Like the painting on the wall is a pretty good example of this. I felt like the makeup was affected in a way to make it look quite as surreal but realistic as possible, which I thought was very interesting with just the makeup overall and just the effects generally to make it feel like it's a little bit more realistic, especially with like the most darkest moments with like all the blood and gore and stuff, and the way Pennywise just kind of opened up his mouth was also another interesting concept. And of course, speaking of good old Pennywise, I feel like the makeup was designed to be more that cartoon-like feel of the makeup generally is something that just seems realistic in a way. A cartoon that was brought to life is what I was trying to think of. The makeup for 2017's Pennywise was definitely a lot more nicer and more clown-like compared to the 1990s version of Pennywise. And the newer Pennywise, to me, just definitely looks incredible. Like I mentioned with my other movie reviews, what of course makes this movie is overall how it all completely ends and falls into place, basically. So for the overall ending, I am going to be giving this also a giant, big, fat, large, full point. To be honest with you, the ending itself was not completely great, but at the same time, it wasn't terribly bad. I felt like it was kind of like a normal ending, which is something I really do like in horror films. I'm not going to be giving everything away about how this movie all falls into place and completely ends, but the only thing I can actually say is that before the ending credits actually did officially rolled, it said something about like chapter 1 end or something like that, and it turns out I just recently found out not that long ago that the sequel to this It movie is finally into the works, which is interesting because there was some details from the 1990s version that were unfortunately not made into the new one, which I think is the reason why they're making a sequel of this. I'm not going to be giving anything away about the story plot generally from that movie compared to this movie that I'm reviewing. However, I will be doing a comparison video of these two movies just so I can kind of talk to you guys on a more personal level about this movie. And of course, there will be some spoilers into that video as well. So definitely watch these two movies first before you end up watching that video, which of course is going to be made sometime in the future. So I will definitely let you guys know when that is officially going to happen. The ending of this movie was genuinely very good. I was overall really impressed. Based off of all the points that I've made and completely gathered, it is definitely a 5 out of 5, which means that this movie itself is ultimately perfect. So to be honest with you, I could see why this movie hit like a very large box office. I believe it was like around 700 million, which is quite a lot. People were overall very hyped about this movie to come out, and I could see why. To actually dig up the past and to just bring this story back to life is just something that was a movie that was done very well. This movie was folded into place to make it seem so perfect. I could not say anything much more greater about this movie. I think Andy Muschietti did a very good job with the storytelling of this movie generally. Overall, very good movie, and it is something I highly recommend for you guys to check out. If you love Stephen King, or if you're just an overall horror movie lover like myself generally, I think this would be very good for you. Definitely go check this movie out if you haven't already. So that is pretty much everything that I thought I would be sharing with you guys on this whole little horror movie review for the horror movie It 2017 version. I hope you guys overall felt like this video was somewhat informed, or that you enjoyed it in some way, shape, or form. So if you did, be sure to sucker punch that like button down below. Comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this new It movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you thought it was okay? Leave that all in the comments down below. Tell me what you think. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, please do dedicate the time and effort to subscribe to my lovely channel. Join my little army of darkness. And of course, if you hit that notification button, you will be updated with brand new videos every single Friday. Also, if you guys are interested in following me outside of YouTube, all of my social medias will be listed in the description box right down below if you are indeed interested in checking them out yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a completely chill week, an awesome day or night, and I will talk to you all soon in the next video. So until then, stay completely dark and so fucking brutal and awesome, my friends. So take care. Bye for now.